Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this week has been really significant in my training because I've done my first outdoor race event with runthrough.co.uk. So I've done things like school cross country before, but this was a little bit different. There were 1,000 people running either 5k, 10k or a half marathon around Victoria Park in Hackney Wick. As this was the first time I'd done one of these events, I really did not know what to expect, but when I got there, the music was pumping and everyone was getting hyped and it was a great atmosphere. I mentioned before that I'd signed up to these runs to make sure I kept on track with my training. So I signed up to this 5k, and for the last couple of weeks that's what I've been aiming for. The weather here in the UK has been pretty vile over the last couple of weeks, which meant I kept putting off running outside. But just as the Magic Matchbox predicted last week, I was going to have to make a change of scene and I was going to have to start running outdoors. The weather had been pretty vile here for the last couple of weeks, snow and rain and sleet, so I hadn't really gone running outside. But as you know, I pulled out the Magic Matchbox last week that I needed a change of scene, and that did mean running outside, specifically for the race yesterday. Yesterday was the first time in my entire training regime that I've run a long distance outside, and I was seriously dreading what it was going to feel like. It had been snowing the night before, and it was even snowing a little bit when I turned up. It was icy and it was really, really cold. Also, most of the route was on concrete, and I'd been training on a really bouncy treadmill, so I did wonder what my legs were going to feel like. For most people, 40 minutes might sound like a lot of time to allocate for a 5k, but I was happy with anything that was 40 minutes or under. Running doesn't come naturally to me, as I've made it pretty clear in previous videos. I don't run. So I wasn't that bothered about the time, I just really wanted to finish. The first 1k felt like an absolute breeze, and I felt like I could keep going at that pace for the entire time. I was pumped, full of adrenaline and ready to go. There must have been at least a couple of hundred of us running the 5k. I always feel a lot better running at the gym when there are other people running on the treadmills around me. I don't know if that's because it just makes me feel more pumped up, or if I want to keep up with their pace, or just prove something to myself that I can keep up with everyone else. But I felt really good for the first 1k when we all headed off the start line together as a group, and it was really like a team spirit. But then we hit 2k. I had the Nike Run app in my headphones and she was telling me how fast I was going. And for the first 1k, it turned out I'd been running a lot faster than I planned to, and I might have got a little bit burnt out by 2k. But I slowed the pace right down and continued on running, and I actually ran all the way up until 3k, which is one of the longest distances I'd ran without stopping to have a breather. For some reason, by 4k, my right calf was really hurting, and I couldn't actually work out if that was because I was running differently because we were on concrete, or if the shoes weren't stable enough for me. But anyway, I had to take a quick break to stretch and maybe walk about 200 meters. If there's one thing about running that a lot of people told me, it's you'll get into it. The longer the distance and the easier it gets, you'll just feel really good and then you'll learn to love it. Well, I can say that as I was approaching the finish line for 5k, I was not loving it. Having said that, something that I've always done is I like to put my all into the last 100 meter stretch, so I sprinted as hard as I could for that last 100 meters across the finish line. Crossing the line felt so great, and I checked the clock as I crossed and it was way faster than I anticipated that I'd do it in. In fact, I knocked an entire 10 minutes off my training time from the week before, and while that felt really good to know that I'd knocked my time off, my legs were definitely paying the price, and as soon as I crossed the finish line, all I wanted to do was lay flat on my back with my legs in the air and hope that they would stop throbbing. So what did I learn from my first run? Well, there's 5 main things that I want to mention. Number 1 is concentrate on my running technique. Looking back on the videos of me running the race, I noticed that I had a tendency to turn my feet inwards when I ran, and I think that's the problem I was having with my calves. Of course, it's difficult to change the way that you run, but you can consciously try and keep your feet flat. This is something that I definitely need to work on, as well as maybe thinking about getting some new trainers that will be more supportive to my style of running. 2 is that positive mental attitude goes a long way. As much as in my head the entire time I was thinking, I hate this, I was also trying to keep myself going by bigging myself up, saying, you can make it to that next signpost, or you can make it to that next dog over there. And the more I psyched myself up, the more I found that I could do it. I was learning to block out the thoughts that were saying, I don't know if you're going to make it that far, and tune in on those thoughts that were saying, just push yourself and see what you can do. Without a little bit of positive mental attitude, I definitely think I wouldn't have finished the race in such a good time. Number 3 is that running in a group isn't scary. Some people are really good at running and some people just aren't, and I feel like I'm in the aren't category, and so I do worry that when I run next to people who can, that I'm going to look silly. This definitely came to play when I was running in the group. At first, I really hung back because I was worried about what people might think. Everyone in the group was really supportive of each other, helping each other along, and it made me realise that running with people, no matter what their ability, everyone's just there to have fun. So it's definitely put my mind at ease for my next race. 4, I have no excuses and I can run outside. It's easy to blame the weather for not going outside to run, but to be honest, I was just a little bit worried about how I'd outside fair. But in the end I enjoyed running outside and I did much better than I expected. So now I have no excuses not to go outside for my next run. Finally, number 5. This marathon might actually be possible. Now I know what you might be thinking, Jess, why did you start this channel if you didn't think the marathon would be possible in the first place? Well, as I said before, positive mental attitude goes a long way, but a marathon is also a long way. Over the last 3 weeks there have been blips in my training and I've had to think to myself, am I really doing the right thing? Should I really be doing this marathon? But the success I had in my first race, even though it's minuscule compared to a marathon, really made me feel like this entire thing could be truly possible. So what's next? Well, I've got another race coming up in 7 weeks time on the 24th of March at Hyde Park, which is a 10k, double the distance that I did yesterday. And to prepare for that, I'm doing much of the same that I've been doing, running and eating well and keeping on with that positive mental attitude. And of course, following the advice that I've been given by the Magic Matchbox. And speaking of it, for all of you who are following along at home, it is time for the Magic Matchbox. This week's match says, give yourself a time limit, and I think I know what that means for me. I'm going to have to start running within a set time.